What up, y'all? I'm back with another video, and y'all know what it is. Here to do my top 10 albums of 2021. I recorded the video, and it's uploaded now, of my top unique albums of, there were 3 of them, of 2021, as well as my top 10 songs and my Mount Rushmore. And like I said, I already uploaded it, and I meant to record this video on the day that that album, the Jab print. Yeah, if you've been around for a minute, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I meant to record this video on the day that that video was recorded, but it didn't work out that way. But I'm doing it now. Yeah, I'm doing my top 10 albums of 2021 right here at the end, or pretty much at the end of June of 2022. I promise. I said I was gonna do it, like, well, not just to y'all, when the video dropped the other week, but even back in like February, I was like, I'm still gonna upload the video. Like this channel's still gonna go, even if I have to focus on other things, focus more time on other things these days. Freaking 2020, man, just came in and freaking just you know, making people change their lives up, making some grow up a little bit before they had to, or in a sense wanted to. But enough of that shit. I'm gonna start off with what's not even one of my top 10 albums of 2021. I'm gonna start with my one honorable of last year, which is Nas with Magic. Okay, so with this album, I never really expect Nas to sound like he's old on beats, even when he tries to rap on more modern beats, like he has in the past few years with past few releases. And he doesn't sound old. He definitely doesn't sound like he's at home necessarily, but he doesn't sound old. Nas has, like Scarface, and to an extent Ice Cube as well, they have a way of sounding like, not that they fit in, but they can do it. They can pull it off. Some guys, it's just like, nah, come on, baby, you gotta. I mean, don't necessarily like record on old software, but some just ain't got it like Nas and Face and Cube and a few others, and that's why I think Nas is the GOAT. Well, I have a few reasons for thinking Nas is the GOAT. He's not my personal GOAT, like as far as my personal favorite rappers ever, but if I'm being, and this can be controversial, saying something like this can be controversial, but objectively, I think he's the greatest MC of all time. And this album just further solidified that for me. It was a collab. It was him and, who produced this whole baby? It was him and I want to say it was freaking Hit Boy, right? Yeah, it was produced by Hit Boy. And he produced King's Disease and King's Disease 2. But yeah, man. Like I said, I don't expect Nas to sound old, and he didn't here. He sounded really, really fresh. The freshest that he sounded in the past couple of releases, really. That feature with ASAP just was great. I mean, ASAP isn't necessarily new school anymore, but he's newer school, and Nas is old school. So to see that come together for New York and for hip hop, I enjoyed seeing that. Primo was on here adding in. That was cool to see too. But yeah, my one honorable. I'm proud to say that it's Nas and Hit Boy with Magic. Let's go ahead and get right into the top 10. The first album I'm going to talk about is Brockhampton with Roadrunner, New Light, New Machine. Okay, so with this album, it's one of the more cohesive albums that BH has released, in my opinion, since the Saturation trilogy. It may not be as cohesive as Ginger. I almost said Ginger. But it's more cohesive to me than Iridescence was. Iridescence definitely felt like an album, but at the same time, it kind of felt like a collection of songs. And I have the same thing to say about another album on here, and that's not a problem. I've had albums that feel like they're collections of songs be my favorite albums of a year before. Denzel Curry with Imperial. back in 2016. That felt more like a collection of songs than a um, concept, maybe focused album. This just feels more cohesive. This is actually, I need to go back and listen to the Saturation trilogy because I haven't listened to the albums through and through in a while. I just listened to my favorite songs, which they tend to be like a good few, almost half the album. And I think this isn't their last album. I think they're gonna release one more. I know they had their last show recently. And didn't they sign that contract? It was it was 6 albums in 3 years for 15 million, right? So let's see. They got the Sat trilogy, got Iridescence, Ginger, and now this. I forget if if Saturation was a part of that deal or not. I forget if they signed that deal after Saturation or not. So it's been 5 years at least since the signing of the contract, 4 or 5. This is 3 albums now. So if it's not, unfortunately, they haven't fulfilled the contract. So I'm not sure about that. But with this album, what can I say? This felt, for me, Dom, it felt like he was really almost peaking in a sense with the group. Joe still sounds like he's tied for top guy. Kevin is still Kevin as usual. Matt Champion is Matt Champion. Merlin, for me, Merlin was his most fun. He's still fun. He's fucking Merlin. But in Saturation, it felt like he was the most fun. The production sounds great. Like I said, I feel like it's their most cohesive album in the past few. But at the same time, what's weird about it is that I have more of my favorite tracks off of Ginger. Like more memorable tracks off of Ginger. Not that this album isn't memorable at all, but it just more likable tracks off of Ginger than this album. And Iridescence too. I'm just going off the previous album before this one. So yeah, this was definitely one of my top albums of the year. Everybody sounded nice. They sounded like they were, I don't want to say grown up or growing up, but they just sounded more, in a sense, mature, artistically. So the next album I'm going to talk about is SI's Finest, Weather the Storm. This was the best underground album of 2021, in my opinion. I mean, what can I say, man? SI's, man, he got them. He collected heavy hitters for this one, and some people that I've never heard about, and they held their weight. Even the guys that I hadn't heard, they held their weight here, even against guys like Anakin, Ill Conscious. I think Uncle John was on there. They held their weight, and this was consistent all the way through. Even the songs that I wasn't feeling as much, I was still like, this could be like one of the best songs off so many albums, not just underground, just hip hop in general. And last year, this could have been some of the best work off of albums that I'd heard last year. So he did it, man. He had the great production. The artist sounded great. It almost felt like a competition for like who's gonna drop. Not the best verse, but who's gonna be on the who's gonna be featured on the best song? Like not just like who's gonna be featured on the track with the best beat, but who's gonna match that beat? Who's gonna step up to the plate? And these niggas was in competition. I'm not saying that like they knew they were gonna be on the album with a particular artist or artists or anything, but it's just like, man, everybody. And I expect no less from certain artists that I saw on here, and now I expect no less from the guys that I didn't know. Like I got introduced to some new people, kind of getting more familiar with SIs, and yeah, this was great. Best underground album of 2020, hip hop underground. So yeah, underground album of 2021. The next album is G4JAG and Me Fucks with Regressions. This was one of my first albums that I reviewed in 2021. G4JAG, man, it's weird with him. He reminds me of Bodie James and Guilty Simpson because of his more laid-back delivery. But then when you get these faster beats on here, what does Bruh do? He matches them like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. Like he's been rapping on these beats. Me fuck, shout out to that brother with the production here. Um, it was a mixed bag. I don't say now when I say mixed bag, I don't mean mixed as in half half, because if it was, it wouldn't be in my top 10, right? I mean it was a mixed bag in the sense that it was like different elements of hip hop, a not necessarily a traditional sound, but what I come to expect from G4 Jag, from what I've been hearing from him for the past couple of years, um, and getting on those faster beats, taking a change of pace and a change of tone when he gets a little more personal on certain songs. I'm trying my best not to spoil. That's why I'm not going into too much detail about certain some of these albums. Also because I reviewed them anyway. But yeah, man. Shout out to G4, man. Shout out to Me Fucks, man. Y'all did it here. Y'all did it. Like, it was one of the first albums of the year where I was like, this is going to be one of my tops. I don't think I said that in my review. I don't remember, but I do remember going, this is going to be one of my tops. I just knew it, and here it is, top 10. The next album I'm going to talk about is Medhane, Do the Math. Now, Medhane, this brother dropped Cold Water in 2020, and he managed to differentiate himself from Earl and Mike with that sound, the sound, some rap song sound, which really isn't Earl's some rap song sound. It's Mike's. He originated the sound, from what I understand. Earl said that himself. But with Cold Water, Medhane managed to differentiate himself, and I remember listening to that album and going, he's gonna drop something that I'm gonna really love sooner than later. And what does the brother do? He does it the next year in 2021 with this one, Do the Math. And this album, I think it's better than Cold Water. I think it's more focused. I think it flows more smoothly. It's more cohesive. I think that it flows so easily. It's easy to put on and just let it ride. It's one of those albums. It's just so enjoyable. It's relatable with some of the things that he speaks on, and I'm finding that more as I get older with artists, newer artists who are my age or a little older or a little younger. You kind of have there's a certain relatability. Of course, being black, that helps with the relatability. But there's a certain relatability I have with guys like Fly Anakin, Pink Seafood, the things that they talk about. It seems like not trying to be one of those guys, but it seems like with younger millennials and Gen Z artists, there's more of a relation, and I get that should be the case, right? So Medhane did it here for me, man. And another dude who I have a similar feeling about, as far as being a newer artist, being more relatable. Not that OGs ain't relatable. Like, I'm a hip hop head. Like, OGs, they're fucking OGs. I love them. I respect them. Another artist that I feel like I have a similar opinion about in regards to an artist like Medhane is Navy Blue, who dropped Navy's Reprise, which is another one of my favorite albums of 2021. He dropped Songs of Sage Post Panic in 2020, which was one of my favorite albums of 2020. It felt like therapy, honestly. It was long, but not drawn out. It didn't overstay its welcome, which is hard to do when you have a long album like that. But he pulled it off, and he pulled it off again here. This one isn't as therapeutic. This one is more like, just got out of therapy. I feel good. And he was talking like, I was raised by socialists or whatever. I've read all the Marxists. I'm reading all the Marxists. Talking about how niggas made this country. We can break it. Songs like Timberwolves. That's one of my favorite songs of 2021. Navy, man, you did it again. 2 years in a row dropping my favorite album. Well, not my favorite, but one of my favorite albums of of the year. The next album is Uncle John with As a Man Thinketh. He, like Navy, dropped one of my favorite albums of 2020 with As Above, So Below, and he does it again with As a Man Thinketh in 2021. This album, this feels more like a collection of songs. This is what I was referring to earlier when I said I had a comment about another artist. This is who I'm talking about. This felt more like a collection of songs, but it didn't necessarily sound unfocused. As Above, So Below felt more cohesive. Not necessarily a concept again, but There was something about it. This here, it sounds like As Above, So Below, but not too samey. Uncle John is still Uncle John, which means he's ripping the mic to shreds. But this album doesn't necessarily feel like a continuation, but I don't even want to say a B-side because it'd be disrespectful. It feels like a twin brother in a sense. It's As Above, So Below. So shout out to Uncle John, man. He did it again. The next album is Arlo Parks with Collapse and Sunbeams. This album is another one that felt like therapy. I said that about Songs of Sage Post Panic from Navy Blue in 2020. This album felt like therapy. Like I really needed it, and I did. Arlo was speaking on things like relationship issues, societal issues, her sexuality, and I can't necessarily relate to that. I mean, it's none of my business, but I believe she is a lesbian, so I can't necessarily relate to that. But for her to just speak on that, to just be that vulnerable, I appreciated it. So this album just felt like therapy. Like it flowed smoothly. It felt, and I don't mean flowed smoothly as in just the track listing and how they all mesh together. I mean like every track pretty much feels like it's where it's supposed to be. And that's rare with just an album, not just hip hop / with this alt R&B album, just any album. So I appreciate this. I really do. I appreciate all these albums, of course. But this one's for feeling like therapy a little more. Now, the next album I'll talk about is TV Priest with Uppers. TV Priest was signed to Sub Pop like after like one show in like November 2019. One show in like an industrial freezer, right? And they got signed to Sub Pop. And then they released in 2021 Uppers. And I remember where I was when I first heard it, and I remember just the surprise. I was like, where the fuck did this come from? I mean, it's Sub Pop, so I expect it to be good, especially after the last few years. And Sub Pop just has a legacy, of course. But this is just, I felt like I was on a beach, on an island with this album, listening to it. I felt like I was coked out of my mind, like just running through downtown. I felt like I was living in a, one of those, in a minivan. Well, like I was living in a van. Just traveling the country. I felt like I was just trapped in a crypto mining setting. Like this album was an adventure, honestly. It was a little industrial. It was funny. It was it felt like it felt like at times this album was also just kind of mocking society in a sense, or not necessarily mocking society, but making light of the issues that we have in society, making light of them because some of them are heavy that are touched on in this album, I believe. So yeah, TV Priest, Uppers, one of my favorite albums of 2021. And last but not least, Young Morpheus and I Dress, affable with pointed teeth. So with Morpheus, I've been up on his name. I've been up on him for a couple of years now. This is really my first introduction. This is my first introduction to him, and I Dress as well. And I Dress, shout out for the production, and Morpheus, shout out to you for just, in a way, just his presence on these beats is like he's haunting the beats in a sense. Just if you haven't heard it, just listen to it. You'll know what I'm talking about. It's just enjoyable, is what I really could say. It reminds me, it's sort of like Do the Math. In a sense, it's sort of like Do the Math, but not really at the same time. Not like a Mike or Earl or Medhane or Navy Blue. This really just felt like he's separating himself. Not like he has anything against those guys, but you know what I'm saying. He's just doing his thing. And I don't know if my freaking timer is about to stop or not. So if it is, I just want to say now, thank y'all for watching. I love y'all. I really do. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think about my top albums. Were they your top albums? What were your top albums? Drop all that in the comment section below. Again, thank you for watching. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will still recording. All right, yeah, still recording. Cool. Thank you for watching, and I will see y'all next time. Reviews are coming. I've got reviews written. Hell, I might record them now after. Well, I might record them after this video ends, which will be in like the next 5 seconds. I'll see y'all next time.